Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. I wish to thank the following individuals and groups that are involved with this. Minnesota State University is truly a world-class university, as described by Casey. Dr. Richard Davenport, the MSU Athletic Department, Kevin Weissman, Paul Allen, and the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, and my good friend Obi Kipper and Jim Sheehan, who were instrumental in getting me inducted into this. They were intense and strenuous in their lobbying efforts towards the selection committee. Two other individuals, Roger Spee and Joe Kreutz. Joe is from Vermont, couldn't be here tonight. Roger was also involved. Between the two of them, they were able to correct some errors in the NCAA. Apparently they had something to do with the spelling of my last name. So, no balls, it's pretty easy to figure it out. Anyway, Roger can't be here tonight either. His father passed away last night, and so I wish the best for his family in this difficult time. Gordy Graham is another individual that I wish to thank. Gordy was the head of the athletic training department at the college, and quite honestly, without Gordy, I probably would be limping up here rather than being able to walk up on stage. And Chuck Peterson, who was the coach, the field event coach, for his mentoring and coaching me to the level of success that he had. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here this evening either. His son Kevin's here, but Chuck is up at his high school that he used to coach at, and he's delivering a speech up there this evening, so he's not here. I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate Jen Blue and Mark Shuck, along with Kevin Weissman, and for continuing with a very successful MSU track and field cross-country program and receiving the great honor of hosting the 2012 Indoor Track and Field Championships here at Myers Fieldhouse. I believe this is the second time they've been able to do that. But that's an opportunity to not only showcase MSU, but also the city of Mankato and what it offers. A couple weeks ago, I was here at the university, and Kevin Weissman asked me if I'd seen the new track, which was recently completed, and I said I hadn't, and he suggested that I go over and take a look at it. He said it's at the site of the old track. Unfortunately, I didn't have the heart to tell him that when I was here, the old track was down on Lower Campus. Next to Old Main, it was a little difficult to see if there was a track there now. I was fortunate to be part of a very great track and field team. The team members were very close. We did things together. We worked out together. We actually ate in the dorms together. But Kipper and Dan Baumgartner was the captain. Kipper and Dan went hiking. Actually, Dan invited Kipper to go hiking with me. So they're out hiking in this forest, and they got their backpacks on and their hiking boots, and they get around this corner, and here they see two bear cubs. And of course, two little cubs, there's always a mama bear around, and she saw these two guys, and she comes charging like crazy. And Kipper, he calmly takes his backpack off and sits down on a log and takes his hiking boots on, puts on his running shoes. Dan stands there and says, "Kipper, what are you doing? You can't outrun that bear." Kipper said, "I don't have to. I only need to outrun you." As I mentioned before, Chuck Peterson was instrumental in my success. He developed a training technique where we took a pole vault standard and we put a crossbar on it, and we'd have a piece of foam rubber on it. And you could raise and lower this piece of foam rubber, and the concept was I'd run up and kick in the air and touch my toe to this piece of foam rubber. Eventually, I got it to the point where it was at 10 feet 6 inches in the air, and I could touch that with my toe. And shortly thereafter, I was at the Drake Relays and cleared 7 feet, and the University of Wisconsin coach, I'm not sure why, had been monitoring my career and had come to me and asked what I attributed to my recent success, all this improvement. So I told him about this training technique. Well, of course, Pat Mansdorf was on the University of Wisconsin track team, and 6 weeks later, Pat Mansdorf broke the world's record. It's amazing that the UW coach got all the accolades for developing a new high jump training technique. Chuck entered me in the pole vault. He was trying to, he talked about being in the track, and he wanted me to do all these events. So I'm in the pole vault, and I cleared 12 feet, and it was pretty easily, and I was you're supposed to land on your back. Well, it was so easy, I just kind of landed on my feet. Well, I caught my foot in the fabric, and I sprained my ankle very severely. I hobbled over to Gordy, and about 30 seconds later, I got a tennis ball knot on the side of my ankle, and he's got it wrapped, and I was black and blue up past my knee from this thing. Anyway, Gordy nursed me back to health. He had to put up with my whining because one of the things you had to do was soak your ankle in cold water and then go into hot water and 15 minutes of ice water. I can tell you, you have a new definition for what a minute and a half is, because it takes that long for your foot to go numb. So anyway, Gordy had to put up with all that stuff. He also had you had to do flexion with your foot, so he taped a piece of 2x4 to the ball of my foot and had me walk up the stadium stairs backwards. And that gives a new meaning to the term dorsal flexion for your ankle. And I guess finally, Coach Myers was the head coach at that time, and for those of you that knew Bud Myers, he would yell at if you were walking down the hall with your girlfriend, or even if it wasn't your girlfriend, if you were walking with a girl, he would yell across the hall or across the track and say, "Big, you pot licker, get over here, I want to talk to you." And so, you'd walk over there. The whole purpose of this was he wanted you to introduce you to the young lady you were with. And after you did that, he'd lean to you and he'd say, "Now, is that the same girl I saw you with yesterday?" Which, of course, resulted in a lot of explanation as to what that was all about. So we get through it. But I got even with Bud. We had the M Club had a dance at the end of the year, and so here we are, we're standing in this actual facility, and we're having the M Club dance, and Bud is dancing with his wife, Margaret. And I'm dancing nearby, and so the dance gets over, and Bud says, "Big, I want you to introduce you to my wife, Margaret." So I shook her hand, and then I leaned over to Bud, and I said, "Now, is that the same woman you saw yesterday, that you were with yesterday?" Of course, he turned bright red and was angry, and she, of course, busted out laughing. So with that, it's probably the first time I ever saw Bud being speechless. Once again, I thank the MSU Athletic Department, the selection committee, and Mankato State. Well, it was Mankato State when I went here, and Minnesota State University for hosting this event and providing me with this honor. It's a great honor to